Drafted third overall back in 2018. Some fans weren't exactly thrilled when they heard his name initially, but they are loving him now. Kotkaniemi, the hero in Game 6, and as Chris Cuthbert said in his call, Kotkaniemi, number 15, and scored at 15-15 in overtime. It was his 15th career playoff game that night. It came on the 15th shot of overtime, and Kotkaniemi finished the night with exactly 15 minutes of ice time. Ron, you mentioned his leadership earlier in the series. This is production.
The clip you just saw is a preview, or it's a sportscast of game number 7 between Montreal and Toronto, the playoff hockey, game 7, the final game. And you're saying, why are you talking about a hockey game? And I actually, I used to watch. I still catch some hockey games. Entertaining. The way sports can be quite entertaining. If you got nothing else you want to occupy your mind with, you drown yourself in some kind of manufactured excitement. And I'm going to the clip that you just saw was very curious, to say the least, and I'm going to explain it. And here is it's a kind of roundabout shout out to people like Zach Hubbard from Gematria, and Mr. Cat-Eye, and the Quantum of Conscience, and other people who have analyzed how the world is not as it appears to be, but even beyond that idea, which is understandable from the way I've talked about art. And the value in art is not just to be entertained and decorate walls, but in fact to uncover or have an approach to the mystery that we're living inside of. Existence fundamentally is a mystery. It's the complexity of the world, the natural world, the phenomenal complexity of this mystery that we're a part of. And of course, the white coats love to take it all over and say, we know everything. In the mid-1800s, there was actually a statement by the white coats, the scientific community, that said, we've fundamentally understood everything. We just have to cross a few T's, dot a few I's, and we'll be all set to go on what's next. Once you've understood everything, what's next? I guess you become God, and you create beer viruses and shit shows and get everybody to submit to the way you would like to see the world, because you know everything about the world, what it means, what is happening out there. And the still that you see, I'm going to talk about the number 15 that you see here, and the preamble to this. It's a very short idea, but it's quite superb and elegant what has happened here. These broadcasters were basically showing us that the world is not what it appears to be, based on the assumption that something so extraordinary that a player who's got the number 15, I didn't analyze his name, Kotkaniemi, I guess a Finnish or Swedish player, and the numbers that they recite, this is as you see on the screen, the 15. The odds of a player scoring a goal under the circumstances, the numerical circumstances in terms of the timestamps that are involved here and the numbers that are involved, what are the odds that a particular winning goal would be scored with the timestamp and the numbers involved to be so consistently, incredibly accurate, not by 1 second off, but incredibly accurate? And what kind of odds would an odds maker in Vegas give you that this player, number 15, would be able to pull this one off, or that the universe would coincide in such unison and harmonize to such an extent to repeat these numbers exactly as they are shown? And the numbers are quite extraordinary when you think about it. the fact that this player is player number 15, he's played in 15 playoff games, he scored in overtime at 15 seconds. It was the 15th shot overall during the overtime, and he had 15 minutes of ice time. So you tell me what odd makers in Vegas would give on this. I would say you could easily hit the probably billion to one, no doubt. I think an odds maker would give you a billion to one. I don't know, you tell me. You tell me what odds there are that this in fact could ever happen in a universe like some kind of a big bang in a split second. It explodes and produces all the matter that exists in the universe, governed by the rules and laws of nature, all in an instant. This is like the scientific phenomenon that we're supposed to believe. I'm just going through this analytically, like what my reasonable, logical mind, and you can respond if someone has an idea that this is perfectly normal, that this should occur uh, randomly, often, quite often, over and over, or if it does occur randomly, it's literally the idea of the Big Bang, and as far as I'm concerned, that would happen, and you just kind of throw your hands up in sort of a frustration and or in a magical belief, like a scientific belief. It's like that that miracle that the white coats need, that underlies all their assumptions. You need a miracle ultimately, which is the mystery. But hey, then we just forget about the mystery and we run the world the way we feel like it and say this is perfectly normal. Now, I think this is very interesting because they put this on the screen. This is, I captured this on my TV. Unfortunately captured it. I grabbed my camera and I thought, okay, I'll pause it and capture it. And then they proceeded just right after this to completely ignore the extraordinary circumstance of these numbers occurring. And they brushed over and changed the subject and went to something else. This, of course, is part of the programming we're supposed to accept, that we just accept everything they say, but every now and then, like Matt from Quantum of Conscience says that basically it's a truth drop, and they're laughing at us. I am convinced they're laughing at us. There should have been at least a 1 or 2 minute conversation about the fact that this is so extraordinary, but heck no, this happens all the time. So the world can be created whichever way someone wants it to be. What is the explanation behind this? All I know is this is statistically impossible to like a billion, maybe even a trillion to one, maybe never. Like maybe this is impossible. I mean, I can't say never because that would go, uh, it's not something that I can conceive of, something as the idea that atheists say, well, there's nothing after you die. Well, what is nothing? If you can conceive of something, what in fact is nothing? You can't conceive of nothing. So never is the same kind of feeling. But anyway, this has occurred. So my speculation that I would have around this fits in with the idea that there is a control mechanism in place. As we see this virus shit show, people dying is now a pandemic. This has been brought in because we see this right in front of us. It's in plain sight how we're, the ruse, the lie, this kind of impossible situation presented to us as perfectly normal, which is, again, it says the world is not as it appears to be, meaning that my speculation would say there is a very sophisticated intelligence at work that most likely rewrites history on an ongoing basis. In this case, this is my speculation, that there, a very sophisticated computer artificial intelligence is able to alter the numbers associated with our actions. I have not for 1 minute do I believe this confluence of plays and actions on the ice could literally be orchestrated all these uh, all these moving parts in this complex event called a hockey game with a lot of a lot of things going on at a very high speed, that this would actually be able to be manipulated and controlled from a level of, oh yes, this guy's going to shoot the puck at exactly this moment. No, 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 no. That's ridiculous. That kind of a, if that's the case, if this is the level of control, then we are certainly in some kind of puppet theater on strings. And whatever we believe to be in terms of our consciousness, whatever that might mean, is out the window for me. So I think this is a rewriting of history in some form of artificial intelligence, but it just shows that what I say is they're laughing at us. They're totally laughing at us with this kind of an exposure to show us something so insane, so ridiculous. And of course, they use their props, their minions. This player is just a prop for them. And he thinks he's very successful, like all of them, getting $10 million and $100 million and having a career and success. It's all irrelevant. The games are irrelevant when it comes to using those actions, those circumstances to control us to feel and think a certain way. So I could probably go on this. I'll keep it short. If this was short, but here you see how they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. This COVID shit show, the Fukushima shit show, they're laughing at us. There is no result. I was talking to a friend and saying how ineffective our activism has actually been over the history of humanity. You have at times, let's say you have Luther pinning his 95, his treatise on the door. All right, then eventually there was a change, but I think that is all incorporated. Those changes are meant to occur. They're not against the system itself. They are actually part of the whole orchestration of our development, how the direction that we are going in is completely orchestrated, and the illusion that we have any kind of influence on events is an illusion. And the only thing we have influence on is that inner world that changes as we become aware, which will change the world outside of us. They're terrified of people becoming aware of what I'm talking about here. And my shout out goes to Zach on Gematria and Mr. Cat-Eye and Quantum of Conscience. I've criticized them, but at the same time, I see how they've understood this aspect of our reality being totally formulated and in our face, laughing, smirking, saying you can do whatever the hell you want. It's not going to make any difference. I say the difference will be on that internal. The kingdom of heaven is within people. This makes a lot of sense, whether it was said by a person or whether it was put out by the AI itself. Who knows? But it really makes a lot of sense, and that's where change will happen. That's how the change will happen.